Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A. My last frost day is around the end of April, and this week I am planting out all of my cool weather crops, or my cold crops, whatever you want to call them. Usually it depends on region, but I have already planted out my lettuce, my bok choy, my spinach, my cilantro, and I planted peas probably several weeks ago. Oh, and my cabbage. I did my cabbage too. And if I edit this the way I think I'm gonna edit this, you've probably already seen me do that. If not, it's coming up. But right now, I'm looking to do my carrots, my beets, my radishes, and then all of my onions. I don't have any potatoes right now. I'm not exactly sure what happened to my potatoes. I know my first order was canceled because of issues with crops, but then I put in another order and they were supposed to get here at the beginning of the month. I haven't seen them yet. So hopefully those will appear at some point. If not, I guess I'm not doing potatoes this year, which might be weird. But I only have a set amount of time to do this, so let's get started planting. So here you can see my peas, my bok choy, and a little bit of my lettuce. Right here, I want to do half beets and half radishes. I'm not entirely sure which radishes I want to do yet, so I'm gonna have to go through my radish containers. But before I even started, I got this wet. I'm gonna put some biotone down, and then I'm gonna mark where I want the holes and move from there. I do have some pepper stalks from last year that I'm gonna have to work around, but that should be okay. So I want to do my radishes on this side of the bed. I'm going to do my beets on that side. So for the radishes, I'm going with the red holes, which I do believe is about 2 inches of spacing. And then I think for my beets, I'm going to do the yellow, which is about 3. Okay, so I've got about 3 square feet to play with. So I think I'm going to do 3 different varieties. I'm going to attempt to do the Bravo, which is a daikon hybrid. I always attempt to do some kind of daikon in the spring, but it doesn't always work out well because sometimes the spring just doesn't stay cool enough and everything bolts, which is why I do the hybrid. But otherwise, I am going to do this pink one, which I'm not going to get that name right, and then the Pusa, which is also a pink, but it's got a white outside. So I think those are the 3 I'm gonna do. I am not good at dealing with seeds with gloves on. I'm gonna take my gloves off. Got some extras in my hand, so I'm just gonna, some of these holes I'm just gonna put 2 in, and that's fine. Okay. Let me write a marker for that real quick. Well, that's a bumblebee. That is the first one I've seen this year. Hanging out at the peach tree. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one next. I'm gonna hit a couple of the holes with extra. I can thin out if I need to. I do know last year I battled roly-polies so bad eating my radishes. I'm hoping this year it's not going to be quite as bad, but we'll see. So in theory, I should have 3 feet of beets I can play with as well. I only have 2 varieties of beets. Working around that stem is going to be interesting. Here we go. For beets, I have this golden Detroit, and then I have this gourmet blend. So I'll probably do 2 feet of the gourmet and then 1 foot of the golden. So I'll start with the gourmet. I don't normally use a mix because there's usually a certain variety that I'm aiming for. But this is the first year I'll be doing beets. I'm not entirely sure what I like. I thought that this would be a good way to try a variety. And if there's a certain type in the mix that I like, next year I can just grow that variety. Oops, missed the hole. I do know beets, their seed is actually a cluster, so I'm not going to double plant on any of these. And lastly, we've got the golden Detroit. And I'll water all of this in again. Plus, I think the lettuce and bok choy would really like a drink as well. I had beans here last year, and so every once in a while I just find a bean. I suppose before I move out of this area, I can show you how all of these newly planted stuff are doing. I showed you some of the bok choy and the peas and a little bit of the lettuce, but I can show you the rest of it while we're over here. You're going to have to excuse my shadow for now, but this is the lettuce bed. I think I need to give it a little bit of a drink. Some of it's looking a little wilty, but it's looking a lot better than when I first planted it. And then if you come over here, you can also see the cabbages. The cabbages look really, really well, but I cannot say the same for this area right here. They're starting to do a little better, but they were pretty mangled when I first planted them. The spinach, especially in the front, is starting to pop up, and the cilantro is doing a little bit better. I left the middle open because at some point I'm going to put Oya in there, but we still have a couple of cold nights coming, so I don't want that to freeze and break while in this. So I'm holding off on doing that for now. So for the carrots, at least that's what I'm going to be doing in this area. I did make seed tape, and if you want to see a video on that, I will, of course, link to this. I think I've 8 square feet of carrots that I'm going to do, and I think I've at least opened up 9 here. We'll find out. Now this is a little different. You saw me move the soil out of the way a little bit because I'm going to put a little of that soil back. I wet it down so that the tissue paper will kind of adhere to the soil a little bit, but I'll have to water as I go so it doesn't blow away. But as always, I'm going to start with a little bit of biotone. Just going to do this in whatever order they come out of the bag, because I'm going to be fighting the wind most of the way. There we go. Just like that. We have 1 square foot. Woohoo! See, and that's what I mean. We have 1 square foot of carrots. D, which I have the key in my notebook. That's probably the dragon carrot. I'm gonna grab some soil. Lightly bury it. Bury it a little better when I'm closer to done with this. Okay, now I got UG, which I think is the Ubec Gold. I think it's going to be easiest if I put 3 down and then put some water on it. Oh no, that one ripped. Must have got it wet. And I have think a tag already made for this one. Some of these are tags from last year that I found. And I like to reuse as much as I can. What do we have next? Okay, it's just labeled as P. And I'm not 100% sure what that one is. I'd have to look at my key. So this one I'm actually going to do the square foot long ways. Oh, I can't talk and do this at the same time. They're just gonna blow away. I'm doing this as early, fudge. Early in the morning as I can for this very reason, because it's usually less windy. Not gonna be perfect, but this is where we're at. Trying to decide if I gave everything enough space. Might have to get creative with the last carrot. Okay, the next one is BN, which I believe is Black Nebula. Wait for that gust to go through. Not quite what I wanted. Next up is the CP, which is, do I remember? Cosmic Purple. As soon as I reach for the watering can. I need to, I think, start bringing something to weigh these down until I get them watered. I just need to go through and re-wet everything again so that the topsoil is somewhat wet when I come through. I might do is leave the back open there for something. And then do a long grouping of carrots this way. This is LLS, which is Lulasang. Might have to refill my water. I need like 9 hands to do this. PAB is the next one. I think the first word is pusa, but don't quote me on that. I'm gonna go around the other side, it might be easier. The deep purple is the last one. I forgot to put some biotone on this one. And that's the last of them. It was a little chaotic in the middle there. But boom, done. Definitely make sure the edges are covered. But I like using this method because the tissue paper holds in, not tissue paper, well, it technically is. The 1-ply toilet paper holds in some of that moisture, while I'll still be watering this quite often. It can go a little bit longer than it would have if it wasn't made with the seed tape. So here's the thing. I do have this bunching onion that I was gonna put in this corner over here, but now since I have this like strip, maybe I wanna put the bunching onion right here. I kinda like that idea. Okay, so go from right here to about right here. It'll be just a little wall. I was originally thinking, well, maybe I'll put like a squash or something. And I still may put a squash in this bed. I sort of have a plan when I start gardening like this, but then it just always goes whatever direction it wants to. Gonna look a little mangled for a while. There we go. I need to write all this down in my garden journal so I don't forget how I did things. Okay, this last part is just the tedious planting of onions. This is all right here, the Cabernet. Just throw that in the corner. This was my leftover sprinkling of garlic. Garlic actually didn't do terribly well coming up this year. There's a possibility that it's still gonna come up. It's planted behind you currently, but I don't have high hopes for it. I don't know if it was just because it was a really dry winter, or if it's these raised beds and it sucked too much of the moisture out of the soil. So the stuff at the edges just really didn't have a chance to sprout. That's why mostly it's just coming up in the middle here. So I don't know if my last clip of planting out the candy onions actually even recorded. I don't think it did, but there's a bed beside you. I planted out individual candy onions, much like I did the Cabernet. This is gonna be a little bit different. mostly because it is so tedious to plant out individual onions all the time. Here, I'm actually going to plant them in the clumps that they grew in these containers. And the idea is these are going to be smaller when I use them. So they're going to be more like shallot style. Because the thing is, I've got limited amount of space, so I always have to make choices. I'm also running out of time, so I'm starting to get a little creative. These are the last of the bulbing onions. These are the Walla Wallas. I'm going to treat these the same way as I did the candies. I'm going to plant out individuals in this bed and then do some clumping in some of the other beds. I did measure out earlier because I'm going to be planting tomatoes in this bed as well. And so I wanted to make sure I left the room that I needed for those. So here is where I'm going to do the small clumps of the Walla Walla, much like you saw me do on the other side. I'm kind of making things symmetrical. So on the opposite side of the path, I've got the candies that I'm going to mirror with the Walla Wallas on this side. Give it a little space away from the wall. I'll remember to actually do the biotone this time. I think I'm going to finish that bag today. This is the last of the Cabernet. So I'm going to plant these out in a clump too, because I want to put the umbrella trellis or mushroom trellis, depends on what you want to call it, right here. And I haven't decided if I want to grow cucumbers up it or if I want to do runner beans. But that's where I want to put the trellis. So I've been out here for about 2 hours, which is why you can really tell that the wind has picked up a lot. And we've got a north wind coming through. So the temperature is going to get a little cold tonight. but I don't think it's gonna drop below freezing. It's gonna get close, which is why I felt safe doing all of this. And even if it did hit freezing, these are all things that have a tolerance that I don't think we would have any, if much, damage. I'm gonna do these ones first. Just sometimes it's hard to keep all of these from tangling together. Now, I don't really grow onions to store them. I mostly grow onions to freeze them. So most of what I am planting isn't long-term storage. They're usually on the sweeter side. Which is what makes them not good for storing in the first place. But they're the kind of onions that me and my family enjoy the most. Got so much mud caked on my gloves that I can't take them off. So it's starting to get ridiculously windy out here. In fact, it's gotten so windy at this point that you've fallen over a couple times, so we'll see if and how long I actually keep recording. This is technically the second to last spot I'm going to plant in. I'm probably not going to film the last one because it's exactly the same as this. I'm doing the bunching onions in these corners. This is the Yago. I've never planted or eaten this one before, but it looked like a decent bunching onion when I saw it on the Johnny's website. This is the same variety that I planted. See what I mean? You just fall over. So I'm gonna stop. I know you're probably looking at nothing right now. I'm gonna stop recording this, just get this done, and I'll wrap it up. This is the same stuff I planted with the carrots. Technically, I still have to water in the last of the stuff, but I just wanted to film this and make sure everything's safe inside before the wind just takes everything. But I've been out here for about 3 hours at this point, an hour longer than I technically wanted to be, but we did get all of the carrots and the onions and the radishes and the beets planted. So we officially have the spring garden out, and that is very exciting. I'll let you know if I do ever get those potatoes. I'm not holding my breath at this point. So if we don't, we don't. But I think next week I'm going back to seed starting. I have to start my annual flowers, so my nasturtiums. I don't think I'm going to do any marigolds this year, but I am going to do some calendula and maybe attempt to restart my Gerber daisies and my straw flowers. I don't know. Try not to touch my face because I've got dirt on my hands, but the wind is making my nose run. So if you want to follow me on my journey as I seed start and as I plant out the garden, feel free to subscribe down below. Hit the bell to do all the things to get all of the notifications. I do have an Instagram and Threads account as well, so you can check me out over there. I do some updates in between when I post these videos, so you might get some earlier news than you would over here. Otherwise, I'm going to finish up and then I'm going to go inside and I'm going to wash off and kind of just take it easy for a little while. So I do hope I will see you guys in another video, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.